Today I want to talk about this right here. This is the Xotic RC Booster. This thing has been around forever. It came out in 2001, but 25 years later, it is still on the pedal boards of some of the top musicians in Nashville. Guys like Derek Wells, Rob McNelley, Tom Bukovac, Guthrie Trapp, all of these guys have relied on this pedal at one point or another. And I think it's because it's really such an amazing studio tool and an amazing tone shaping tool. Now, I've had this pedal for a few years and I've honestly really just used it as a boost pedal, which it does that really, really well. But I think that also really undersells what this thing can do. So I decided to sit down and spend time with this pedal and try to figure out why so many players have not been able to take it off their pedal boards for such a long time. And what I found was 6 sounds that I think it absolutely nails and explains why this can be such an amazing tone shaping tool to have on just about any pedal board. All right, so in terms of the gear, I've got my Mario Martin Strat. It is going into the Xotic RC Booster, which is on the desk. That is going into the input of the Fractal FM9, and that is set to a Matchless C30 on the EF86 channel, going into a 1x12 cab with a 121 and a 57. So this is kind of what that starting point sounds like here on the bridge pickup of the Strat. So that's kind of what we got. I've got a little bit of slapback, which I'll turn off, and a little bit of reverb. So this is just that pretty dry. So I'm gonna leave the amp basically set to that throughout the whole thing, and then we're just gonna do all the tweaking off of the RC Booster. So the first of the 6 sounds that I wanted to get into was basically just kind of the normal boost sound that just about everybody uses on the RC Booster. So I've just got the gain set to about 9 o'clock, pushing the treble a little bit, cutting the bass, and this is kind of that just initial boost sound. No drive. So I think that sounds awesome. It kind of pushes a little bit more, but it's just more of your amp. I think it sounds really great for that. And then just like a quick example of where I think this can add a little bit would be on a part like this. So. No pedal. Kind of cut a little bit of the treble here, but just to kind of show a different side of it. But yeah, I think anything kind of in that light territory, this thing just absolutely nails. So the next sound that I want to go into is really kind of what I would call more of like, almost like a Rolling Stones, like kind of nastier sounding guitar. But there's a couple parts here that I think it works really well for. So, you know, right here I've got kind of like my bass sound here is just pretty neutral, like. But if I want to get something that's like a little bit more specific for a part, and I really want it to cut and stand out, I might do something kind of like this. So I've basically cut the bass, I've totally dimed the treble here. And if you've listened to like the intro for Drink in My Hand by Eric Church, it really has like super bright guitar at the top, really almost no bass on it. So if I play that without the pedal on, it'll sound something like this. So it sounds fine, but it's not really hitting kind of what that part is. So let's kind of try it with these settings right here. Now, like if you're sitting down and playing that just by yourself, it's probably not like the most pleasing tone. I mean, we have like no bass, it's very bright. But if you put that in the mix, especially trying to cover a part like that, it absolutely nails it. All right, so the third sound that I'm gonna go for here is gonna be more of kind of like the Keith Urban Till Summer Comes Around Strat tone. So if I try to play that intro without anything going on here, it'll sound something kind of like this. So sounds good, but to me, it needs a little bit more of a push and a little bit more in the high end. So I am gonna just push the treble on it a little bit. We'll crank the bass just up to like 9 o'clock. And then with the RC Booster, this is kind of what that would sound like. I mean, that to me just feels really good. It kind of just brings it to life a little bit. So no RC Booster. RC Booster. Back off the gain a little bit. Going on to the fourth sound, I'm gonna go kind of with one more from that, and it's gonna be the kind of solo sound from that song. So kind of stratty overdrive sound. So I'm gonna crank the gain up. Again, clean sound. And if I step on this, for a light gain pedal, it kind of gets you in a good spot. And if I crank the bass a little bit more, give a little bit more treble, you'll see that it kind of pushes into that, you know, really nice Strat overdrive territory. So The fifth sound here is more of a rhythm sound that I thought this thing can kind of get close to. And if I just pull down the bass and the treble, keep the gain cranked, what I'm gonna try to go for is kind of like that rhythm guitar that it's at the beginning of like Shania Twain, Man, I Feel Like a Woman. It's kind of, so here's a clean sound. I might give a little bit of bass, a little bit more treble. So here's kind of what that part would sound like. Clean. If you've got other pedals on your board, you might choose to use those for kind of these more specific parts, but I think the point is, like, you can really get a long way just with this thing. So the last part here is, it's honestly just going for the intro of like Beer Never Broke My Heart by Luke Combs. And if I try to go for that, it's just gonna be drive, high end, and bass cut. Like, that's really the sound that we're going for. So this is just clean. And then we go pedal on. So 2026, is the RC Booster a pedal that is still worth having on your pedal board? I think the short answer is absolutely yes. There's a reason why people keep going back to this pedal. There's a reason why so many session players in Nashville swear by it. And there's also a reason why Xotic Effects decided to reissue the original one. As you heard, we can do anything from low gain to medium gain. It can do kind of a full range boost, the small amp on the verge of collapse, which I think is pretty cool. And I think it's just a great sounding pedal. It's definitely something that you should consider having on your board. There's a reason why some of these pedals just work. And I think that's exactly what this thing does. It just works. It gives you all kinds of options and it sounds great. But I want to hear from you. What is the one pedal that has never left your pedal board or is never planning to leave your pedal board? And what do you think about the RC Booster? Is this something that you think will have a place on your pedal board? Feel free to drop a comment below. Would love to hear what you guys think, and I will catch you on the next one.